Thanks for tuning in to 101.3 BKMG The Farce, coming to you live from separate places, pre-recorded. Now presenting, The Bane and Mickey Show. I'm recording. Oh my god, me too. Wow.
Wow. Clap.
Wow.
Wundervoll.
Wunderbar. Mein Podcast ist wunderbar.
Welcome back, everybody.
You did it. You're listening to another episode of The Bane and Mickey Show. Congratulations.
Congratulations. On this episode, we're going to be replaced by terrible cosplayers of ourselves that then turned the entire show into an evil, terrible mess of gross terribleness.
So just what it normally is, but with people that aren't us.
Yeah, but they look slightly like us, but only just barely.
We got the biopic versions of us, so they're much more handsome and much more attractive than we are.
Are you saying Wyatt Russell is more attractive than Chris Evans?
No, that's different, because he's not playing Chris Evans. He's not playing Steve Rogers. He's a totally different guy.
Uh-huh.
And also, there's very few men that are more attractive than Chris Evans.
This is true. This is true, as the MCU has confirmed, right? I don't know. Actually, no, it's pretty competitive in the MCU, I would say. I would say anything outside of the MCU is what confirms that.
I mean, like, to be fair, there's only one America's ass.
This is true. We all know this. We've been told this many times. So.
By the second most attractive person in the MCU, Paul Rudd.
Oh, no.
Oh, yes.
Alrighty. Well, yeah, today we're going to talk about yet another Disney series. Bum, 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 bum. The second wonderful installment that they've given us called Falcon and the Winter Soldier. And I guess if you haven't seen it, none of what we just said will make sense, and that's okay. You know, that's okay.
How much does the things we say ever make sense, even if you know what we're talking about?
This is true. Before we dive deep into all that is John Walker and only John Walker.
Is this a John Walker podcast?
What have you? It's a John Walker.
John Walker
hate
Texas
podcast.
Ranger.
What have you been watching recently?
Well, I've been watching The Other Universe.
Oh, traitor.
I've been watching. I watched some of that Harley Quinn animated series with Kaylee Cuoco. It's pretty cool. Pretty interesting. It brings back Dietrich Bader as Batman from Batman the Brave and the Bold, which is pretty cool.
Oh, yeah.
And has Alan Tudyk.
Ooh.
And he plays Joker and Clayface. And I finally watched The Suicide Squad, and let me tell you, that is a wonderful movie that everybody needs to see as soon as possible.
I like how you said finally, and it's literally been like a week.
I wanted to watch it immediately.
Okay.
And I waited, and I was supposed to watch it the Sunday after, but my work kind of fucked me over. So I wasn't able to watch it for almost another week. It was terrible, and I hated it.
I have been told that I need to see it. I've also been told that I don't need to see Birds of Prey.
Absolutely
before
not.
I watch it.
It's its own separate thing. Listen, if anything, Birds of Prey just gives you more of an appreciation for Margot Robbie's Harley Quinn, but it's not necessary because Suicide Squad stands on its own.
Mm-hmm. I will say I did finally watch the trailer because I don't really watch movie trailers, but I watched it. It played before Black Widow, and I was like, I can get on this, and I don't hate Margot Robbie right now.
And honestly, even if it was just said directed by James Gunn, I'm sold because I love James Gunn.
Jack said it's just James Gunn making a James Gunn movie.
With
characters
it's 100% that
happen to be in another film, but
it's 100% that. 100%. It's like James Gunn made his movie, and they were like, "Oh shoot, right, I was supposed to use DC characters.
Change all their names.
That one, and that guy. Oh, perfect. It still worked exactly the same as I planned it.
Wow,
Spectacular.
amazing. Isn't that how it always goes?
If you're James Gunn and you're awesome at making movies, it is.
Oh my gosh. I have rewatched Hamilton because I was showing my parents. And I just love the production of that in a very theater sense. I mean, it's filmed well as well, but it's beautiful production of theater. But I also watched, my friend showed me Shrill, or we watched a couple episodes. It's like a comedy series on Hulu, which I don't watch, I guess, a ton of kind of comedy or modern contemporary comedy. I don't know, but it's kind of just like a woman not dealing with bullshit of men in her life, and it's kind of good because it's like, yeah. There's
this show I really want to watch. It's on AMC. It's called Kevin Can F Himself.
Oh, I've heard about this.
It's got I don't remember her name, but she played the daughter in Schitt's Creek. And from what I've seen, it's like the classic sitcom housewife trope thing where the husband's an asshole and she like wants to kill him. And it seems pretty interesting, and I enjoy the premise because I enjoy the whole play on TV tropes, especially the shitty misogynistic ones. So. It seems hilarious, but it's only on AMC Plus, and I'm not paying for that.
Ugh.
So if it ever comes out on DVD, I might just buy it and check it out, going in completely cold.
Yeah.
Having seen like a trailer and sort of knowing the synopsis. Never done that before, but I'm willing to try. I trust you, AMC. Don't let me down. But we're not talking about AMC today or DC. We are talking about the one, the only MCU. That's right, Michigan County University. Give it a big round of applause. The Flying Falcons versus their rivals, the Winter Soldiers. Now, this is one rivalry that has been going on for ages and ages. And as I read the notes,
very
I
intense.
realize
they do a lot of
talking about something else.
Oh, I was really going to get into the sports analysis of Michigan County University. I don't know if you saw their aerial stunts competition this year. It was really intense. So was their martial arts. Their martial arts academy is fantastic. As well as their free running. Free running is a pretty good one they have. They just run around the campus in the city, and then they have their world tour free running, where they free run around the world.
And when you have a quarterback like Mackey and with his one of the all-star receivers, Sebastian Stan, you really just don't stand a chance.
Oh no, never.
Especially when their rival is someone named Jan Walker. Yeah.
Well,
it sounds like you need to Walker yourself home.
Yeah, and of course, they all compete for the Magnificent Shield trophy, which just sports their school colors. This bit is going way too long.
It's falling a bit apart, but that's okay. Because we're for real skis talking
falling apart like Captain America did. Oof. And like by that I mean the second Captain America.
Kablam.
Yeah, anyways, God.
We're going to talk
Someone
about Falcon
please just
and the
cancel
Winter
us.
Soldier.
Take away our podcast mics.
You can't.
Ha!
Burn on you.
Yeah. I really liked I would say, I mean, these are characters we don't get to see. These are kind of like characters that have kind of been like side characters for a while. And so it's really nice for them to finally have their own stuff, They can finally come forward and be like, yeah, fuck you all. We can do stuff too. Also because the Avengers are kind of a mess right now, and so it's like, oh great, yeah, we have to pick up the pieces. Okay, whatever. But it's fine.
And we haven't had the benefit of several movies. I mean, we've had movies like a few movies each where we've seen these characters, but they don't
have their own
do
movies.
much.
Yeah.
Along with, aside from just being like the hero's best friend and sort of there, they don't contribute a lot. And like you get a sense of them.
Like Winter Soldier, maybe not. No, I mean even in Civil War, he's pretty much just following Steve around because he can't do anything without Steve.
Yeah, and you get a little bit here and there, but we don't get to deep dive, which is what's nice about all these shows that we're getting, like Loki, WandaVision, Falcon and the Winter Soldier. We take these characters that we've seen forever and learn more about them.
Yeah.
And their motivations and make them much more interesting and worth watching.
Yeah.
And it's not just because, they did this, that, and the other in the comics, and they're cool because this, that, and the other in the comics.
I will say Bucky and Sam are just an old married couple, and it's amazing. It's some of the best. It's the best team, because they love each other, but they just hate on each other so much. Bucky's trying to pretend he doesn't enjoy Sam's presence, but he's not good at passing it off. Let's be honest.
Because he tries to pretend like he hates Sam so much, like, yeah, I got you this, but also fuck you.
Yeah, yeah. And they just argue about the stupidest stuff. Like, the world is being attacked by terrorists, and they're just like arguing about Lord of the Rings, but it's fine.
The big three: androids, wizards, and aliens.
There's no such thing as wizards.
Doctor Strange. He's a sorcerer. He's a wizard without a hat. Boom. I just thought of that. How do you know who Gandalf is? I read it
when it first came out.
In 1937. Bucky, you big dork.
He just has nothing to do, and he's just reading The Hobbit.
Well, I mean, it just shows that back then in the 40s, he was probably a huge nerd.
Oh, yeah.
The only difference is he was a big boy instead of a scrawny little Steve.
I mean, I would say he was more average to start.
Well, you know what I mean. Compared to Steve.
Yeah. It's great to dive into these characters. I think especially Sam. Although we get a little bit of not backstory, but a little bit of Bucky's like Winter Soldier kind of story, other than what we're given from like the third perspective of Captain America and the Avengers. We get kind of his perspective, but we don't really get a whole lot of like. We still haven't gotten Sam, like a lot of Sam's backstory.
No, I mean you get bits and pieces, but that's pretty much it.
Yeah.
And then the other thing
we just
is
need
like,
I mean, maybe we'll get some in Captain America 4, maybe in season 2, maybe we just have a Falcon movie. I mean, do we call him Falcon anymore? I'm confused.
He's Captain America. He's not Falcon anymore.
Falcon is dead.
Or is he? Because they set up the second Falcon in the show also.
This is true. Once again, it's another character that they just pass the equipment down.
Right, but I mean, he'll come back. But the other thing is, like, they just had this massive shift in their whole universe where people were gone for 5 years and now they're back. So if they had just done movies, which would have been fine, but I feel like some of these things would have been brushed over or rushed. Or
for sure. Especially because
just not properly handled.
Probably they just keep having like team movies. I will also say though, it's really bringing Falcon in as the new Captain America is like now Captain America has eagle wings, and it's kind of like, I mean, I don't know how much Murica you want to get, but now he's an eagle. So
speaking of his wings, I liked how they updated him from having real wings.
Yeah.
Giving him the jetpack metal wing things.
Yeah, well, and he does all these like
bad.
Cool, like he stabs them into the ground and he uses them as a shield and he like fights with his wings. He's like extra limbs and he's like
right. Like he actually uses them for things.
It's vibranium against vibranium. It's amazing.
I was just trying to think of something. There was I don't know. I was trying to think. It's kind of like how the shield is used. Like it's not just to block; it's for throwing like a frisbee.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
or sometimes used
Frisbee
to
golf.
throw lightning.
That great bro time frisbee golf moment, we all need it sometimes.
Bro, this is some sick frisbee. Throw that disc, Scooter. So,
yeah, we kind of start right away into the series in the first episode. Sam's just off doing stuff. Shit's gone down the drain after Endgame.
we see he's fighting against Batroc from Winter Soldier, the second Captain America movie. He was only in it for a little bit, but he plays a slightly bigger role in this thing. But, we get to see a lot of really cool Sam flying around, fighting effects that we don't get as much in the movies. Like, we see him flying around and doing some stuff, but it's never been focused on him, which has been pretty cool.
Yeah. Sam has the shield, of course, he has Captain America's shield, which was given to him. And he's kind of haunted by what to do with it. He doesn't feel like he deserves it. And then Bucky's like, well, you have to deserve it because now I'm having an existential crisis.
Right.
Which is like, Bucky, your existential crisis is not Sam's fault, but also...
But, I mean, when you have a crisis, you try to not make it your fault and stuff.
This is true. So. I mean, this is true. It's not his fault anyways. But, and then Sam donates it, which I don't think that was, I don't think that was a bad move. Like,
I think it's not a bad move if it had gone how Sam had intended it to go.
Yeah.
Like, had it just stayed in the museum,
which also,
I think it would have been fine, personally.
Technically, I guess, I don't know how it works, but I feel like, so at the Mopop, who is it that owns, like, all of the stuff that's there?
Well, I think those are like replicas.
No, they're not.
So
some of the stuff is not replicas.
Okay, well, I don't know. I can't speak for everything.
I'm just wondering, like, don't you have to ask the person who donated it or whatever, or who technically owns it? Like,
well, I mean, at that point, so they say it in the show, but the government doesn't own the shield. So technically it was Steve's shield the whole time. He gave it to Sam. Sam donated it. The government took it out.
Yeah.
Gave it to Walker. Sam repossesses it from Walker. So I feel like in terms of ownership...
I just mean, like, the museum should have asked before they let the government take it. Is all I'm saying. Ask before you take people. It's not very nice. Anyway.
Or they just said, we're the government, we're taking it, fuck off.
This is also true. The government claiming that they own Captain America. It's like, well, fuck you.
Even though he's... Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a whole deal.
The show follows Bucky while he's trying to figure out his life post Winter Soldier, after his little meditation vacay in Wakanda.
The only character to go to therapy.
Yes. Attempting. Well, I mean, he doesn't have a choice to go.
But he still goes. But he does the work.
But he does try to go and then, not go and then get in trouble for not going. And then Sam gets involved, and that's fun.
Oh, yes.
Couples therapy is great.
The couples therapy. Before we get too deep in, though, we should recognize the people who performed this wonderful piece. We have, of course, Anthony Mackie and Sebastian Stan as Sam Wilson and Bucky Barnes, respectively. We got Daniel Bruhl as Baron Zemo, returning again from Captain America Civil War.
Mm-hmm.
John Walker, played by Wyatt Russell, son of Kurt Russell.
Yeah, my mom was like, why does he look so much like Kurt Russell, blah, blah, blah. And then my dad had to look it up, and he was like, oh, you know why he looks so much like Kurt Russell? Because he's Kurt Russell's son.
And then we have Clay Bennett playing Lamar Hoskins, Aaron Kellyman as Carly Morgenthau, Io returns also from Civil War as Florence, played by Florence Kasumba. Then we got Sarah Wilson, Sam's sister, played by Adepero Aduye. Sharon Carter returning from Winter Soldier, right? Yes.
Yes.
Played by Emily Van Camp. And Joaquin Torres, played by Danny Ramirez.
Yeah.
And he will be the second Falcon.
Spoilers. I'd say
lots of spoilers in this podcast.
Yeah.
If you didn't already guess.
Aaron Kellyman did a really good job with Carly, and I would also just say like the Flag Smashers in general were well casted considering they're like not super well known performers, but for a role that's so heavily involved, she did a really good job, I believe.
She was also in Solo.
Yeah.
There was what I think it was her and Clay Bennett who like they were cast for the show, but they didn't know who they were playing until they got to set or got the script or something, and were like, "Oh, I'm playing like a cool character. I'm not just like in the background or in like a couple scenes or something."
Yeah, they just didn't realize how much the character was used, which is great. Also, because when it starts and you first see them, you're also not sure how much they're going to be involved, but they have a really intensive arc as you get further along. The series is directed by Kari Skoglund, which I think it was episode 3, maybe, where I was like, damn, I really love this episode and like how it's directed and like the performances and stuff. And I was like, who directed this? And then I realized that Kari directed the whole series. But then I was looking into her work, and she's done like a lot of like television shows and stuff, and like mostly single episodes. But when I was looking at all these episodes, like they've done a couple like Walking Dead stuff and whatever, and I was like, oh my god, that's like one of my favorite Walking Dead episodes. Wait, this is amazing. And so I was like, okay, I need to now go watch every television episode that's been directed by Kari Skoglund and go watch it.
I think it's really cool when you can see like directors, or when like retroactively you've always liked an episode but you didn't know who directed it. You don't know
why.
And then you're like, oh, because they did it. That's why. That makes sense.
So yeah, I want to go like watch a bunch of the single episodes, because it hasn't been like. So for this, Kari directed the whole series, which doesn't often happen with television shows. So like a lot of her work is like single episodes or a couple guest episodes kind of thing. So I want to kind of go watch those and kind of, I don't know, compare or like look at all the work and stuff, and then learn how to be a great director.
And what I like about the way Marvel's doing it, because they are treating these like
films,
3 hour movies type deals, so they want that consistent tone throughout. And they're short too, so it doesn't make a lot of sense to have a bunch of different directors on it.
Yeah,
but like you said, they're treating them more like films and not just, this is a TV show, we want to do this for years.
Which is, I like that, because it allows you to kind of dive in more, but also get enough content that isn't squished into 2.5 hours.
Right.
The series was written by Malcolm Spellman. PJ Dillon is the cinematographer. And the show just looks beautiful. I mean, no complaints. It's amazing.
No. Mainly edited by Jeffrey Ford.
Yeah.
There was a couple others on there, but they were more like assistant editors.
Ray Chan is the production designer.
Great job, Ray.
It's a very technological, like, modern age show, kind of is the vibe, with a lot of, like, very, like, CIA spy intelligence kind of vibes.
Right.
And then Michael Crow and Eric Damon were the costume designers.
Great job, guys.
Giving us those beautiful super suits and stuff.
So we already sort of started diving into the series, but after they fight Batroc and they go to this sort of memorial where Falcon Sam donates the shield to the Smithsonian, we get a little clever Steve is always on his left type, ha ha ha, Don Cheadle's on screen for 2 minutes and gives an Emmy-worthy performance, even though he says maybe, I don't know, 3 lines. Which is fine, I guess, but...
Yeah.
Bucky uses a flip phone.
Amazing. Look, he's catching up, okay? He's got like 100 years to catch up on. Just chill.
Listen, I get it, Bucky. I wish I had a flip phone.
This brings also, up the question, did Steve Rogers also use a flip phone? Are they just the flip phone bros?
He gave one to Tony, so he might.
He does.
He left, he probably didn't.
I forgot about that.
Though it could be a covert thing, like you can't really track
it could be a
phone.
burner phone. You know, those are often like flip phone or sliders kind of. But I like to think that he just has no mental capacity to function with a smartphone. Let's be honest. He's got so much other stuff to deal with. He's just like, no, just don't even make me think about that. I love that we're bringing in all of the mini versions like of superhero characters. We get Red Wing, you know, like how
I love Red Wing.
Peter has all of his little things, but we're starting to bring in all of these little like sidekick technological things. It's so cute.
I like that even though Red Wing is normally an actual Falcon, but I like that he's a little robot.
It's so cute.
Sam treats him like he's a real bird.
Hey, let him have his little
buddy.
pet robot.
I'm not complaining. Listen, I would do the same thing. I guarantee it. I just think it's cool that they didn't change the dynamic between him and Red Wing at all.
Yeah.
They just made him a robot. And then we also get Uncle Sam, which I only just realized through my second rewatch as a hilarious joke.
We get to it's great to see Sam's kind of family and life and what he's doing with not as Falcon.
Right.
And we get to meet his sister, and there's this really great relationship between them. I mean, it's a good relationship that's going through a rocky moment, but and then he's got nephews that are fun, and he's a great uncle, and
they go to the bank, which fuck banks, but also brings up the important question of like, how do the Avengers make money? Because he says Tony doesn't pay them, and
Tony's not the one that hired them.
And I'm not saying they're not even really employees. They're more just kind of like a club. And I'm not saying Tony should be paying them. I just think it's interesting because I feel like we always assumed as viewers that they were getting some sort of compensation.
Well, I'm trying to remember, like, in comics, like, it's the same with kind of like the X-Men and stuff. And I'm not sure if it's like a government thing, if like the government pays them somehow as a whole, or if it's like a SHIELD thing.
I don't know. Yeah, because they were working for SHIELD, so maybe then.
Yeah, well, because the Avengers are like, you know, they're employed under. Yeah, I don't know. It's confusing, and it's like, yeah. I mean, Tony wouldn't be the one paying them because they're not under Tony.
Right.
But if anything.
And to be fair, he pays for everything else.
I know. Yeah, like I'm sure they have like, you know, like for Steve and Bucky, like whatever money they had in the 40s has been gaining interest and then been, you know,
I never thought about
now
that.
Has a different value, and so like they're just doing, you know, they probably have plenty.
You know, I never even thought about that. It's like when Fry goes into the future 1,000 years.
Yeah.
And he's suddenly like a trillionaire.
Yeah. So they're fine. Who else is on the team? Thor doesn't need money because he could just conjure what he wants if he wanted, and then also people would just give him stuff because he's a god.
Captain Marvel, but she again works in space.
She's also
all the Guardians. Yeah. Doctor Strange, but he's a wizard.
I would say the only thing is like Black Widow and Hawkeye, but like we see like Hawkeye is off doing. He's got his own thing doing whatever. What is his wife's job?
She doesn't have a job. She just stays on the farm and raises their kids.
But we do know Hawkeye worked with S.H.I.E.L.D. for a while.
That's probably how he
beforehand, and just covert government things, and also like hitman kind of things. So that pays well. And then the same kind of goes for Black Widow. So like, you know,
they have ways. It just is interesting
because but with but then we see with Sam, like Sam doesn't necessarily have money. Nor does his sister.
For 5 years.
Yeah, and he was gone. So, yeah, it's interesting to see.
Yes. Then we finally meet the new Captain America, John Walker, or is it Carl Fredrickson? Because he kind of has that face.
Oh my gosh!
Did you not notice that he kind of looks like Carl Fredrickson? Because that's what I immediately thought.
Yeah, it is funny though. Like they did do a good job trying to, and like this is also like what you would assume the government did is trying to find someone that looks like Steve more or less. He's got blonde hair, blue eyes, curt jaw. He's a veteran and
white.
And muscly. I will say though, there's one shot like later on in this series when they're fighting and he's like on the floor and it's like a portrait side view, but I think his mask is off too, but he legit looks like Chris Evans for the shot.
Like a split second.
Yeah. Yeah, we meet him and then we get Bucky and Sam's reactions, and Bucky is basically ready to go murder everyone, but
Mackie does a really cool thing. Like, you can see all these emotions on his face in, like, the 10 seconds he's on screen.
Yeah.
But it's very subtle.
Yeah.
And it's really cool.
I just want to go back to this note you said about, seems like Bucky wants to hang out with someone close to his own age. And this brings up my question of, are you saying someone close to, like, their 30s? Or someone close to like 100
close to
his
actual age,
because he's
close
hanging
to
out,
his 80s or 90s.
Because he's like trying to get like someone sets him up on a date, and he's like, "This isn't my vibe." Like,
no, I meant when he's hanging out with Yuri.
I'm like 100+ years old. Can I just go hang out with Then he goes and hangs out with what's his name? The guy.
Yuri.
Yeah.
That's what I meant. I meant Yuri because Yuri's an old man and Bucky's technically an old man. And
Yuri, but then also, who's the guy he introduces Sam to? The other super soldier.
Isaiah?
Isaiah, yeah. I'm like, I feel like...
That's different, though.
I feel like Bucky and Isaiah would be
friends. That's a little different.
It is different, but it's still like, all right, Bucky, we get it.
We get it, Bucky. You like old men.
But, okay.
So then, we get a deep dive into Captain America, but he gets this huge, like, celebrity rollout.
Oh, God, it's awful. It's so bad. And
you see the rage in Bucky's face when Walker calls Steve a brother. It was like, he's like a brother.
Oh, my gosh. They're so, they're rightfully so very petty, but I love when they're fighting, and then Walker is like, get in the car. And they're like, no. And then he's like, dude, just get in the fucking car. And then they're driving, and then Bucky's like, okay, stop the car. And they get back out of the car. And it's like, this is amazing. They're so petty. It's very like high school petty football team kind of thing. What do you ask? Did Bucky already have a suit on? Bucky always has it. Bucky is just Bucky.
He looked like he was coming in with some different clothes, but then when he's on the plane,
let's be real. He just has like a hoodie over whatever he's wearing. Like that's just his vibe. A hoodie and a baseball cap over everything.
I loved when Sam called him White Panther as a joke, and he's like, actually, it's White Wolf.
Yeah, right.
White Wolf,
and we're like,
what the fuck?
Okay, we're like, bro, nobody knows what you were doing in Wakanda. No one realizes you have this fancy ass name. Like,
also, no one cares.
No one cares. Yeah, it's just Bucky.
Then there's a whole scribble when
two best buds rolling around in flowers.
I don't remember where they go to, but Sam and Bucky go after the Flag Smashers. Then Lamar and Walker show up.
We have this interesting Captain America has a sidekick thing. What's the sidekick's name again?
Battlestar.
Battlestar. It's really stupid.
Battlestar.
And Bucky's just like,
Battlestar.
when he's like, who the fuck are you?
I'm
like,
Battlestar, man.
And we're just like, and he's just like, what? This is so stupid.
Sam has a lot of really great lines throughout the whole show, but when Walker's talking to him and he's just sort of giving him the spiel, and then he's like, it'd be really great if Captain America's friend could be on, if Captain America's old friend could be on my side or some shit like that. And he's like, it's always that last line.
Yeah, then we get the really good therapy session, couples therapy. Amazing.
No, that's a little later. For that, Bucky takes... Sorry, only because we can't brush over this. It is this episode, but we can't brush over Carl Lumbly playing Isaiah Bradley. Pretty much the second super soldier ever.
Yeah.
And a black person who was one of the only people to survive all these experiments that no one even knows about. That Bucky only kind of knows about because of Hydra. But we also get to meet another young Avenger, Patriot.
Mm-hmm.
Or Eli Bradley, who is Isaiah's grandson.
Yes. Also, his grandson is such a mood. He's just all the time like making snarky comments in the background. Like he just always is somewhere in the background, and you're like, bro, where did you come from? The adults are talking right now, but it's funny. Yeah, when we meet Isaiah is really an important piece, and I love, and my dad was talking about this too, but the connection of our history into a television show that is
right,
a fictional show, but uses
a lot of
our
real
history
influence.
Yeah.
And it informs Sam now. So Sam now is thinking again that it was a good idea for him not to be the next Captain America because of exactly this.
Yeah.
And we sort of see more of his reason into why he thinks he should donate it, not just because like he feels like he was the wrong choice, which is definitely part of it, but also because, being a black person in America, it's a country that's never really cared about black people or people of color in general.
Uh-huh.
So, another thing representing the Stars and Stripes is like, why would I represent a place that hates me?
Yeah. Yeah, and that is something also that comes up later too. And then episode 3, we bring Zemo in. This whole Bucky's like, so what if blah 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 blah, and then it's like,
that prison break scene is amazing.
And then it's like, oh, by the way, it already happened. I just had to tell you it.
You already did it. Well, I knew you'd be pissed.
I had to ask you without asking.
It's like, what if we did this? Well, I already did it.
But also Zemo and Bucky being like, they're not friends, but they're like, they don't
they're great.
Necessarily are hating on each other in a way. Like Bucky's more chill with him being there than he should be.
It's like, whatever. We need him, man. Come on.
Also, yeah, and then Zemo all of a sudden is like, hey, let's go to my fucking fancy-ass house. And they're like, what, excuse me?
I'm a baron, Sam. I was rich before you destroyed my fucking country. Remember that shit?
Yeah. And then Zemo over here with just, like, his Turkish delight and his, like, candy and, like, everything. I feel like he's is it the 4th Doctor that just goes around, like, Jelly Baby? Or is that the 8th one?
4.
I feel like he's the Doctor.
A couple times, but 4 is more known for it.
Yeah.
Would you like a Jelly Baby?
It had very Doctor Who vibes with him just being like...
I will never not think of Lion Witch in the Wardrobe when I see or hear Turkish Delight.
Yep.
Always. It's my first thought immediately.
Well, and then, he does use... He's fucking enticing kids with candy, and we're like, questionable, but okay. At least he had better success than Sam and Bucky combined, so...
But they go to Madripoor, which, one, beautiful.
Yeah.
I love Madripoor. And we meet Sharon Carter again, who, spoiler alert, is very clearly the power broker.
Oh, no.
But I did like that she actually does something that's not just being like Steve's love interest or...
Uh-huh.
She barely does anything in any of the movies, so I like that she's an actual person and character.
Yeah.
In this, and also, Zemo has one of his many great lines when he says, "The danger with people like Steve, we put them on pedestals, they become icons," which I think is very relevant.
It's exactly what's
even
happening
today,
with Walker.
With Walker, and
everyone.
We'll get into that a little more later.
Well, and then we also get, it's interesting to have Sharon return and be like, and get like little hints about what she's been doing, but then also being like, okay, what exactly is going on, or what have we missed with you, for the last 5 years, whatever.
Right. Then they find the location of the person who's currently creating the super soldier serum.
Mm-hmm.
I forgot what his name is. Nagel. It's Nagel.
Yeah. Nagel, like bagel, but it's Nagel.
Sharon kicks a lot of ass.
Mm-hmm.
In the whole warehouse thing.
Bucky kicks a lot of ass. Sam kicks a lot of ass.
Sam gets his ass kicked a lot,
That's true. Well, okay, but to be fair, he's the only one without super soldier serum right now. Like, he's
so
fighting...
is Sharon.
Well, okay.
But she still kicks more ass.
Look. We don't blame Sam for getting beat up. He's trying his best.
I'm not blaming Sam for getting beat up. He just gets beat up a lot.
It's just funny because...
not in the show, but just in general.
Oh, that's true. Yeah, that's true. He holds his own pretty well, considering everyone else is like 100 times as strong.
Then, Zemo kills Nagel, because of course he was going to do that.
Yeah.
Then we get his comic accurate look, and while it was cool to see, I don't understand the purpose of it at all. Because he never does it again, and they never talk about it.
Yeah. It's fine.
And then they call back the seat thing in Civil War when Mackie's sitting in the back, Sebastian's sitting in the back, and he's like, "Hey, can you move your seat up?" And he's like, "No." No, I'm not.
Once again, just so petty.
And
always.
The Dora frickin' Milaje would come back.
Yes.
Hi, Io. I love the scene when Bucky gets his programming fully undone.
Uh-huh. We start to really dig into what Bucky's dealing with and trying to resolve. And then we're like halfway through the series, episode 3, and it's like it moves at a pretty really like decent pace, and like it's 6 episodes seems like very perfect for the plot,
Mm-hmm.
It's like, I don't know, they just did a good job in like, and it's the same with like WandaVision too. Like, I haven't watched Loki yet, we're getting there, but they just have done a really good job with these series in making them not too long or too short, but giving them all the proper time that they need, and just dividing the episodes up nicely as well in terms of in content and moving the story along and what happens and.
Mm-hmm. And I feel like that was a big problem with the Netflix shows, is they were 13 episodes every time, and it wasn't always that necessary.
Oh yeah, a lot of them are like extended, drawn out. It's really. Or multiple plots that don't need to happen. Mm-hmm. Zemo is like, yeah, okay, yeah, you compare him to Magneto here. It's like he's a villain. He's done terrible things.
Zemo has another good line, but there has never been another Steve Rogers, has there? But
it's also like, he's not wrong, and he has like morals that are, he's like chaotic.
He's not wrong.
Neutral. Maybe. Lawful evil? I don't know. But, he...
Sort of. I mean, like, what...
He could do things in a better way.
He's just... Like, he's not wrong. Like, what he does is inherently bad, and he does unobjectively evil deeds. However, he has morals, and he has a point, and he is correct. Much like Magneto.
Oh, yeah.
Like, you can disagree with Magneto on the way he gets stuff done, but what he's trying to achieve, or like Poison Ivy, honestly, like, Poison Ivy is correct, and disagreeing with her fight is wrong, objectively, but the way she's going about it is potentially objectively wrong, however, potentially necessary.
We start to see more about the Flag Smashers and Carly specifically, and like what they are, what their purpose is, what they're trying to do, and how they're fighting for the people. And ultimately just going about it in some of the wrong ways. But yeah, then we learn that there's more of this new soldier serum, and Carly is trying to make more soldiers to fight with the Flag Smashers, and then they go destroy the serum, but they don't destroy all of it. No one saw that coming at all. And
right. And then Walker gets it finally after complaining about it half the goddamn show. And like when he gets his ass kicked by the Dora Milaje, and he's like, "They weren't even super soldiers."
Yeah. And then he has this really like he's like interrogating his friend on the super soldier serum.
Yeah.
And you're like, I don't know what it was. Oh, he's doing something where you're like, you've already, like, you can tell he's already taken it. Like, at that point. Like, I already knew he had taken it before we even have it confirmed. But, like, you can just, like, the way he's talking. And then, but then there's this whole line about, like, the serum doesn't, it shows you, like, who a person really is or whatever, which is interesting. Oh, yeah,
power just makes a person more of themselves.
And it's like, oh, shit.
Which is like what Erskine said to Steve originally. Good becomes great. Bad becomes first.
And then this is when
things turn.
Yeah. There's a really good moment of confirmation, but it's very subtle. When Walker throws a guy into the wall and the wall smashes and Bucky like looks at him and he knows immediately that he's taking the serum.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like very, very subtle, but it's like if you catch it, you're like, oh shit, yep. All right. He's juiced up. We're fucked.
Yep. And this leads, so Sam is trying to get to Carly on the human side, which is another thing we see that makes him a good Captain America, not just that Steve chose him, not a perfect soldier, but a good man. Again, what Erskine said initially. But he's trying to get through, but John charges through, and Carly ends up killing Battlestar, killing Lamar. And so
Walker
that sends Walker into a fucking goddamn rage. And
he murders the wrong person.
In public.
And takes this symbol of heroism and bravery and saviorship and destroys it by...
Literally taints it. And the image it ends on, when he's just standing there and you see the blood on the end of the shield, is just like... it's kind of... it's just so much.
Yeah.
And it's amazing.
And then
it's both amazing and sad, and it's a lot.
If Bucky wasn't already mad about the shield being given away, now he just full-on rampages at Sam of like, you destroyed the symbol that is Steve Rogers. Right. We get some really intense fighting between the three of them with Walker. Falcon has his wings ripped off, which is really sad.
Why are you making me do this?
They're fighting for the shield. Bucky breaks Walker's arm, which is really intense.
Awesome.
But, yeah, amazing. And then he just drops the shield, and he's like, happy now? Okay, bye.
Yeah, well, I think what was interesting is, like, obviously it seems that, Sam is going to become Captain America, but there's still that, like, what if Bucky took the shield kind of thing. But even with, I feel like when he gives Sam the shield, he's like, listen, this is for you, buddy. This is not for me and for no one else. This is yours.
Yeah, like, so I didn't
fucking accept your responsibility.
I didn't fight to get it back for anything other than...
This isn't for me. This is for you.
Now, yeah, other than, like, this is your problem. Go fix it. And then, yeah, they kind of break up. Wait. They kind of go their separate ways for a hot sec.
Well, yeah, then we see sort of the fallout of what happened. Sam gives Torres the wings. Yeah, he's going to be Falcon.
Yay.
Walker gets his title stripped and everything. He gives a little monologue in the courtroom, which I feel like is sort of where you get some of the sympathy for his character, especially his last line, "You made me." He says things like, I did everything you asked, I followed all your orders, and this is how you're going to treat me. Is like, shit.
Yeah.
But then we get Julia Louis motherfucking Dreyfus
Lady
as Lady
Hydra. Time for Dark Avengers.
Thunderbolts.
And everything.
But she's on screen for like 2 minutes tops, and I love her immediately.
Sam goes back to see Isaiah, and this is a really important. The end of this episode is just really heavy and really good and really strong in talking about Black history, and specifically in, like, I don't know, just in general, but a lot of in, like, military involvement and just everything.
But also how history is constantly rewritten and changed to fit a white perspective.
Yeah. And we basically learned that Isaiah was put in a very similar position to Steve and later Bucky, when Bucky has the serum and then gets captured. But because Isaiah is Black, he is punished for it, further punished,
right.
After already being tortured and experimented on. And then
for 30 years.
He has this whole, really strong perspective of not hate for Sam, but just, like, telling why Sam is more or less being wrong in his...
Well, it's not hate for Sam. It's sort of just hate for the symbolism of the shield.
Yeah.
And what it represents. So I don't feel like at any point he's like, fuck you, Sam. He's more like, fuck you, Captain America. And fuck what that represents.
It's not towards Sam. It's just like, he's almost trying to tell Sam to be like his own person without having to be a symbol for America. But yeah, it's a really good conversation that everyone needs to hear. But I think especially also, as much as Sam needs to hear it, Isaiah also needs to hear it from Sam.
Mm-hmm.
We go back to Georgia. Is that where
I thought he was from Louisiana. I think it's Louisiana.
We go back to Sam's sister. And Sam's trying to fix the boat. And then Bucky comes and helps him. We have this really great bro montage of them, again, being an old married couple. Bucky's flirting with Sarah, and everyone's just telling him no.
Don't hit on my sister.
I'm also pretty sure, I feel like it's not even serious flirting. I feel like he's just doing it to get on Sam's nerves. I feel like
it's a little serious.
But at the same time. Yeah, we get this dumb montage of them working on the boat with, like, a mix of, like, Sam not being able to do something and Bucky just coming over with his arm and, like, ripping it off. And then that moment where they're doing a thing and Sam's like, why didn't you just use the arm? And Bucky's like, I'm right-handed.
I don't always think of it right away. I'm right-handed.
And we're just like, God damn it, Bucky.
But then we also get a really nice moment with Sarah, where she's sending her kids to school with some extra lunch for these two other kids.
Oh, it's so sweet. And then their whole they cook all this food for the neighborhood too, and pass it out. And it's like, even though they can't even, like, figure out their own thing right now, they're still making sure everyone else is also provided for.
And it's a community that takes care of itself, and Sam also calls in all these favors to help get the boat fixed up, which is just like, it's great heartwarming stuff, especially after the heaviness.
I'm just laughing at this, Sam and Bucky almost being friends but stopping, because that would be weird and they're two awkward dudes. Yeah, they still won't admit.
They want to be, they try to be friends, but then they're like, no. Remember, we hated each other for so long. I don't know if I can go back.
They're just, it's so stupid. And they're like, they settle on, like, they're like, we're not colleagues, but we're not friends, but we're not acquaintances.
We're just sort of we work together.
We're work partners. Yeah. Yeah. And then, partners. Yeah, Sam gets this really dope training montage that we've been needing forever. And it's like, you don't have to have super serum to be amazing.
There's a really funny shot in it where Sam is running, and he just is like, it's kind of off focus, but it's mostly on his bicep that's like jiggling as in slow motion as he's running.
Oh my gosh. And he gets Bucky drops off his present.
Which we don't see till the next episode.
Which we don't see, but it's from Wakanda, so we know it's heavily laced with vibranium.
Yes.
You
wanted vibranium in that? Sorry, we wouldn't have guessed that.
Oh,
you wanted no vibranium? You should have said something, man. Vibranium's like our whole thing.
And then
Carly starts her assault on the GRC. So the GRC is like this government entity that's trying to basically control all the borders and put everything back.
Yeah, especially after the blip. They're trying to basically control everyone that like returned. Because they were settled into society for 5 years with half the population, and then a bunch of people came back. And the government's being stupid about it. But we go into the finale, which is like preparing for war, and
earlier, and that we see in mid credits where Walker's making a new shield. But didn't he say earlier he's not Tony Stark? So pretty sure you can't do welding like that if you're not Tony Stark. Can't be sure, but it might be a lot.
I agree. It was also like very janky, and I was like, this is like every, those videos where people make replicas of stuff. I was like, this is just John Walker right now. He's just a Captain America fanboy making a replica in his house.
Well, the weird thing too is like it looks really janky, but when you see it, it looks really good and almost identical. And I didn't understand that.
I know it has some weird shots, and also considering he the weird way he welded the rings, I'm like, that's not strong at all. Like, what are you?
I'm just doing what I can for America.
Okay, whatever, Walker. Anyways, so we get this really awesome entrance for our new Captain America.
Comes in
Sam with his amazing suit. It's got red, white, and blue. It's got metal wings. It's all vibranium. It's got some new tech, and he states his name. Someone asks him, he's like, "Who the hell are you?" And he's like, "I'm Captain America." And we're like, "Hells yeah!"
Right.
And then we have this, whole thing. Carly's trying to kill the GRC, and then they're like, wait, but we can't kill them, but we gotta save them. And then Walker comes in, and then Walker gets his
sort of only
redemption moment, kind of,
where he decides to give up the shield and save the people.
Yeah, and we're like, okay, good on you. We still don't like you, but
I noticed it was interesting that Sam had like a shield launcher on his jetpack. I didn't notice that the first time.
Also, I'm pretty sure the shield has like a magnetic return thing his backpack. Like it's really dope. Amazing stuff.
Great job, Wakandans.
Yeah, amazing. I will say, I think we talked about this in whatever episode where you were wondering about his new suit, and I agree it's going to get dirty way too fast, but also at the same time, it's Wakandan and like vibranium laced, and like I feel like they just have special technology for their textiles. So,
but still,
get yourself some Wakandan fashion.
Also, Sharon releases acid gas on one of the dudes, and I thought that was crazy nuts. So
we get we see the evil villain side of Sharon taking over as the power broker.
I also don't understand how John still had his Captain America suit.
They just didn't take it away.
I feel they should have taken it away. He was already not wearing it. They could have taken it no problem. Also, the guy who's piloting the helicopter that Sam chases is a fantastic pilot.
Yes,
he does some crazy maneuvers.
Seriously. There's some really cool stuff. And then there's this really cool moment where Sam's like trying to rescue the helicopter, and he's like, I heard one of you is a pilot or knows something about flying a thing.
He uses Red Wing to scan to see who's a pilot or who has like flight training.
Some kind of training. But then this badass like female pilot is just like, yeah, I got this, and like saves the helicopter. I'm like, yeah.
Because then he shoots him out right away, and then she's like, I got it.
Yeah, it's amazing.
And then
Badass
flies
moment.
it no problem.
Yeah, this really important moment of Sam, like, fighting Carly, but not fighting Carly. Because he wants to prove to her that violence is not the answer, or at least not the violence she's going with.
We find out that Sharon's the power broker.
Whoa, didn't
Feigned
see that coming.
surprise.
Well, we found that out earlier,
They
didn't we?
never say it until now. It just seems very obvious that she's the power broker the whole time. And it doesn't
Yeah.
ever seem like,
Okay.
surprise.
I thought it was the earlier episode when Carly tells her friend that she's the power broker, but maybe not.
No.
We do get this really kind of like, not stereotypical, but like, so at the end, Sam gives the speech, and it's a good speech. It's a speech that needs to be said.
It just also is like, I don't know. It just seems like an easy wrap up with no follow through, really.
Yeah, exactly.
They don't really ever bring up anything related again, except for like one line heard on a radio by Zemo.
I also do enjoy, though, that the delivery of the speech by Sam, or I guess also by Mackie, is it's very, like, normal tone. Like, he's just talking. He's not speaking in this, like, huge, heroic, I need to make a speech voice. He's just talking. He's just telling them how it is.
Right.
Telling them what they got to do. Telling them what's, what is the world now. But he's not making a big show of it. And I think that's really important to see, especially as he's taking over as Captain America.
Right. He's not like flying up and like, everybody listen.
Yeah. And
this
like
is
he's
how
not
it's gonna be.
He doesn't know he's going to be televised when he's saying it. He's just talking to the guy. And then it gets live fed to the news. The show wraps up very nicely.
As the super soldiers are getting taken to the raft, they get blown up. We see it's by Zemo's butler. So way to go, Zemo.
Lady Hydra comes in to give us some insight into what's going to happen next with John Walker, which makes us maybe think there's a second season, or John Walker shows up in the next Avengers movie.
Oh, what if Captain America 4 is him versus U.S. Agent or the Thunderbolts?
That would be interesting. It would be also interesting and weird, though, to have that kind of, to John Walker, more or less, kind of be their their enemy again, if it kind of already happened in this series. But it'll be interesting to see, especially if he has other people. Bucky gets closure, and he gives Yuri closure, and then Sam has his boat and everything. Everyone's happy. Sam goes back to Isaiah, and we have this really amazing moment of Sam taking Isaiah to the Smithsonian, and they made a whole
wing dedicated to him.
Yeah, added into the super soldier Captain America. I was gonna say it also reminds me of Vincent and the Doctor.
That was the first thing I thought of immediately, was when
they
bring Vincent to the museum in present day just to see what his life
and he brings his Isaiah's grandson along as well, which is really nice. But I think there's a really good the episode, or at the last couple episodes, especially how they take like how they deal with Black history and like civil rights and Black Lives Matter and stuff is really strong conclusion to this series, and with this introduction of Sam taking over as Captain America, and it's really important, and it's not really anything that's been included in like any Marvel movies up to this point, or many superhero movies, really. And so it's really good to see that and to have that content.
Right. And then we see Sharon getting reinstated to the CIA in a mid-credit scene, and it can only mean one thing: she's going to sell all of her trade secret.
Bum, bum, bum. She could also be part of the next Avengers movie, or Captain America.
Oh yeah, that's what another one I was thinking was, maybe it's going to be her as the villain.
Yeah. The show has some Emmy nominations.
Only a few, like 5. There's only one acting one for Don Cheadle, which the fact that it's not Carl Lumbly being nominated is fucking BS, because Lumbly kills it, and I love him. I have it on here.
Oh, I'm literally staring at the thing.
They have a stunt performance. They got for special VFX, stunt coordination, and sound editing.
Mm-hmm. But then they have been nominated for some things that Anthony Mackie was nominated for Outstanding Actor in the Black Reel Awards for television. And then there's some guest actors as well nominated in that, and writing, and Anthony Mackie was also nominated for the Hollywood Critics Association again for Best Actor, and Best Hero for the MTV Movie and TV Awards. So, and Best Duo. Hells yeah, I agree to that. When are the Emmys?
Later on.
The Emmys this year will be September 19th. So in a month, the Emmys happen.
Sweet. My only two biggest rants are that Carl Lumbly doesn't get an Emmy nomination, and I feel like it tied up a little too easily with the speech. Otherwise, the thing is a pretty good show.
The speech was kind of like okay, let's tie this up in a 2-minute words, which is of course the whole like show don't tell, and it's like which they don't do. But I think it has a really good conclusion, a really good overall story. We get the fun, we get the drama, we get the angst, we get the horror, we get the and again, something we need, these little dives into characters that haven't had their own movies, haven't had a lot of their own say. Final thoughts?
Final thoughts. Should Bucky have become the new Captain America? I think no.
I don't think
just
so.
Because
that's not who he is.
I think in a different way, like if things had gone differently and Bucky was never the Winter Soldier, maybe, but I feel like if you go with the main philosophy of like good man over perfect soldier, Sam fits the bill better than Bucky.
Yeah.
Only because like Bucky's would be considered a perfect soldier.
Well, and I think Bucky's not really the guy who, I feel like he's not a guy who wants that like title. You know, he's like, he doesn't.
Well, I feel like not wanting it is sort of a prerequisite because Sam doesn't really want it either, but he sees what it can be.
But more of like not wanting it, but also couldn't accept it even if he had the option to. It's just not who Bucky is. Look, he went off and was a loner in Wakanda for a while. Like,
that's true. Oh yes, I have a defense for. While John Walker is not the best person, I feel like it's not all his fault. I think it's a combination of the military, that like he's been in the military all his life, so they've been propping him up and teaching him all these things. But now he's being told, he's getting the limelight shown on him and told that he's all these perfect things. He's the best this, the best that. He's so amazing. He's better than the best. You know, he's all these things. So some of his arrogance comes from that, but also just like the feeling of like he's not living up to these expectations, and he's almost like he's being ordered to be this way. Yeah. And if he's not doing that, he's not. I don't know. I just feel like
you can give a little bit of defense, but then it's also like, I mean, yeah, and then just this, you know, this thirst for power that just changes anyone in ways you can never expect or never prepare for.
And I feel like it's another thing, like I mentioned earlier with the courtroom, but I just think it's a problem with a lot of people that are either in the military for a long time or are in it for the wrong reasons. They just get this sense of self-importance, and it's drilled into them that they're more important and more special than everybody else. And so when they leave or discharged or whatever it is, that when they're not treated that way, they're kind of fly off the handle. Also why I don't really support military that much, but that's a conversation for another day.
You have a really good point here about how Steve represents America, how it could be. Walker represents America how it is, and I think Sam represents America as how it should be, how it needs to change. Mm-hmm. And so it's a really interesting comparison and analysis of Captain America and who he is and what he should represent.
Because, you know, we all want to believe that America is like Steve Rogers. We're perfect. We want to help and expect nothing in return, and that's it. Being of service is enough. Walker expects the praise and the perks that go along with it, and Sam is there to be like, listen, we're not good right now, but we can be that way. We just have to work on it together.
Yeah. Yeah.
Also, should the title card have read Captain America and the White Wolf instead of Winter Soldier? Is it time for Bucky to ditch his Winter Soldier moniker, or is he not quite there yet? I don't know. I feel like there's a defense to say he's not quite free of the Winter Soldier yet.
I don't think he's quite free, and even it would be interesting for him to reclaim that title as something else. I'm just looking up information. Apparently Loki season 2 has been confirmed.
Yes. There hasn't been a season 2 confirmed of this, but I feel like that's
No.
what Captain America 4 is going to be.
There's Captain America 4, but
I don't know if we necessarily need a second season.
no. Well, and it would be interesting though if Captain America 4 has a totally different plot and then like season 2 covers
But if there's a season 2, I feel like they're going to call it Captain America and the Winter Soldier or the White Wolf, so there's not going to be a second Falcon.
Right. Well, and
like
so
this.
there's speculation that Falcon and Winter Soldier season 2 might happen under like a different name.
Right.
If they brought it
which would be fine.
Yeah, we'll just have to see. We do though.
The good news is we have more Sam as Captain America coming. And
yes,
that's
and more
really
Bucky always too as well.
Yes.
Soon though, we will get Hawkeye.
Oh yes, Hawkeye is next, huh? Well,
November!
What If is currently happening.
What?
What If?
Yes, What If has just happened.
Happening.
But soon we will get Hawkeye, and I am interested. Oh my God, Florence Pugh is supposed to be in it. Hells yeah.
Well, so I haven't seen Black Widow, but I know that Valentina comes back and is like, "This is the guy responsible for killing her."
Yeah, I'm wondering.
Go get him.
I'm wondering how much of the plot is going to be that versus like Hawkeye backstory. Also, the poster for this is really lame and sad.
Well, it's also not just about him. It's more about him and training Kate Bishop.
Yes.
So,
but I also hope we do get some backstory for.
I feel like it's going to be half and half, and I feel like Florence is going to show up like halfway through that show.
Yeah.
If I had to guess, but I'm sure they'll do it in a much better way than I would, which is fine. Also, final thought: do you think that Sam should have gotten or should get a version of Super Soldier Serum now or in the future?
I think he's entitled to have it if he wanted to, but also at the same time, I think it's really powerful to show a Captain America without it and to show the fact that he doesn't need it. He doesn't need to rely on that and can still be just as strong, as powerful, and brave as Walker and, well, as Steve Rogers, but then, as strong as Walker when Walker is under the serum. Right. I think there's something really powerful about that he goes and trains himself up to be at such a high level,
Yeah, I feel like he doesn't really need it at any point. I would argue the only reason Steve really needed it in the first place is only because he was so scrawny to begin with.
Oh, yeah.
Otherwise, he would have been fine.
Yeah.
Like, I feel like he wouldn't have needed it had he not been a tiny little boy.
Yeah.
Do you have any final thoughts?
I don't think so.
Well, let's do a random topic time.
We can do a random topic time, but also I have a question for you.
Ooh. Shoot away.
If you could have any Marvel superpower, what would it be?
Super speed, no question. I've always wanted super speed.
Yeah, speed would be good.
For the high metabolism and for getting places fast.
I think I would like teleportation in like a Kurt Wagner kind of way where you just go
But also super speed is a derivative of that.
But also, fine. Um, yeah, that or like, I mean, flying is pretty cool. Um, and like, not, I don't know if I would want wings like Archangel or anything. I don't know. I feel like they would kind of be a hassle. But uh, there's plenty of like X-Men that like can propel themselves through the air and stuff by whatever means. That'd be kind of cool, I think.
Like Thor. Oh my god, the hammer
Like
pulled you
Thor.
off.
Sure. Yeah. All right. We'll do an actual random topic though, because we can.
Waha.
Alrighty. What's it gonna be? Thoughts on Monopoly?
Hate. I don't have time for that.
Do you actually hate it?
I don't hate Monopoly. It's just a long ass game and it kind of destroys lives. I played like a
It
4 or
destroys
5 hour
lives?
game. I played like a Monopoly game for like 4 or 5 hours
Friendships
once.
are broken. Families are torn apart.
Yeah, exactly.
We used to play it a lot growing up, because we didn't have, I don't know, we didn't have that many board games, but we would play it. And I think my mom just liked the idea that math was involved. I don't know.
I feel like if you do the short version,
But we would like, we would save the game and come back to it. Like, I don't know. My mom had a method of like saving all the cards and like in little baggies and like marking down where we were and stuff.
well, that's fine.
Which is, made it good. But I don't like playing it a lot. It is fun to play on occasion. Especially at like 2 a.m. over some drinks or something. But I agree. I don't know. It starts really fun. And then after a while, when you get to that point of like, who's going to win because they have all the money. Everyone else is like on the point of bankruptcy, but like you're still just playing. It just drones on sometimes. And at that point, it's kind of like, bleh.
I feel like it's sort of like chess, where like if you're not playing with people around your skill level, it's not fun at all.
Yeah.
Because if you're playing with people above you, you will win immediately. And if you're playing with people below you, then or if you're playing with someone that's better than you, you're just gonna lose right away.
Right.
Or you just have to also know who you're playing with. It just depends on the people.
And also, like, it depends if you're playing for fun versus strategy, and kind of making sure that everyone is playing with the same
Or
intention.
like that's why like if I'm gonna play, I'll do like the hour version where you just play for an hour and however it ends is how it ends.
Or like who has the most money or whatever.
Right.
Here's a big question. Do you play the version where you auction off properties if someone lands on them but doesn't want to buy it?
Usually it's just me and Bree, so we don't really do that.
Mm-hmm. Because it would just go. Yeah, that's fair. I only usually do that when there's like a lot of people playing, like 4 to 5 people.
Yeah.
And it also kind of depends if we want it to go faster or not, because that can help it go faster. But it is fun. But it also is like, I do like the luck of the draw too, because having having someone not want to buy it and then having the place still be open, and having that chance of like, oh, you could get it still is fun as well.
Agreed.
Are you a blue square person or a red square person? Or not red square, light blue. Are you like, do you try to get
Park Place
and stuff, or do you try to get those little ones at the beginning where that if you get all the hotels you can do some pretty decent damage?
Listen, I think if you can get Park Place and Broadway, it's nice to have, but you shouldn't relate your whole strategy to them.
Oh, for sure.
But also I have really bad luck. So like I will never hit them, but as soon as somebody else buys them, bam, I'm hitting it every other time.
Yeah.
And it's really annoying. Last time me and Bree played, I think I went to jail like 4 or 5 times.
Oh my gosh. Okay. I do enjoy
the Cheaters Edition.
Yes, the Cheaters Edition. I want to play. But I also do enjoy the different versions of Monopoly, I will say. Just because it's fun to kind of have little references and stuff.
I have a Doctor Who one and a Klingon one.
Ooh.
It has little Klingon translations on the bottom. It's pretty sweet.
Nice. Well,
I thank you all for sticking with us through our longer than normal podcast, but I appreciate you listening nonetheless, and hope you'll join us next time
for more
podcasty goodness.
Yes, indeed.
Have a great week. Follow us on the socials.
Yep. Bane and Mickey _podcast on Instagram.
Or baneandmickeyshow.buzzsprout.com or anywhere you get your podcasts.
Exactly. Give us a like, a follow, subscribe, comment, let us know how it's doing.
Share
review,
it around.
Rate.
Tell your friends.
And we'll see you next time.
Bye.
Bye.